Hi everyone. I'm sure you guys already went over how to scan models into 3Shape, how to make order forms, things like that. So once you figured out how to export the STLs, we can actually import them into Exocad. So let's go through some of these steps in Exocad, how to make order forms, etc. So we have here a brand new order form. There's nothing on here. You have a client, which would be the dentist. You have the name. This would be the name of the patient. And this will be the technician who actually does the designing. So here we could add a new doctor by pressing this button here. And these are your clients. You put in your straight name and everything. Here you would type the patient's name that you're working on, and your technicians are here, and you can add new technicians with this button right here. Here we can make the notes if we have any special notes for that particular doctor or patient. So let's choose a doctor. We'll say Dr. Demo, and then we'll go through a patient. Let's go with Herman Munster, since we already did this patient, and then the technician would be me, and that you can add yourself to it in this area here. And here we can do a brief description of the case. So we'll do a 6-unit stress breaker bridge, and over here right now this is all we have. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at our model. We have our 6-unit model from 8 to 3, and we're going to have to figure out what type of restorations we're doing here. Just as an example's sake, we're just going to do full crown restorations. So we're going to click on the tooth, and it's going to bring up all the different types of restorations we're going to choose. So here we're just going to use anatomic crowns. The second one, this is the material we have here. So I have all the listings of the materials. We're going to choose just a simple wax up. Cervical adaptation is basically, let's mirror teeth. That will give us an additional option. We don't have pre-op models. Pre-op models are basically models that you would get like a study model before the preparations are taking place. This way we have already the shapes of the original teeth scanned into the program. We're not doing virtual ginger or a thimble crown. Thimble crowns are basically temporary crowns that the dentist will reline. So we're going to do mirror, which means we're going to try to mirror the teeth on the other side, and we're going to pull to margin. That means it's going to, our design will be automatically pulled to the margin of the preparation that we will mark. So we'll say OK here. That means we have 2. So then we have tooth number 4, and this we're going to say it's also an anatomic crown. As you can see, these are already pre-selected, and then we'll just say OK. Here it gives us like little hints on what to do. So if it tells us if we hold Control while clicking the tooth to copy the last selection, and if we hold Shift, we can apply the last selection to multiple teeth at once. So let's try the Shift. So we'll hold Shift and we'll go to 8, and it did everything here, the same selections as we did before. So what we need to do right now is, we know that number 5 is a Pontic, so we're going to have to change that. So to change that, we're going to just simply click on it, and it's going to bring this up, and we're going to look at Pontics. So we'll go with an anatomic Pontic, since we're doing a full wax ups. And as we can see already here, we have wax selected, we have virtual extraction no, copy or mirror, we can select that and we say OK. So now we have 2 stone models in occlusion. So once the models come into the scan, once we bring the scan into the program, then the 2 stone models will come into occlusion. So what we have to do before we do that is we have to save it. So we hit save, and if you can see here, all of a sudden these are brighter now, so we can actually go into Model Creator. So this starts the other program, the Model Creator program. Now, depending on how fast your computer is, that's how fast your program will run. So now what we need to do is, it's asking us to load the upper jaw. Okay, so to do that, I know that I have my scans in my USB stick, so we're going to scroll down to our USB stick and find the file. I named it RESD 2413 for our class. So we'll double click on this folder, and as we can see, we have the 2 scans right here. It's asking for the upper jaw, so we click on the upper jaw. And now it's going to bring that scan into our program. Now it's asking for the lower jaw, so we're going to select the lower jaw. We can either double click this or hit open, and then it will automatically put it up against our upper model. So if we see here, these models kind of are wacky the way it automatically goes. So what we have to do is we have to add a custom view, since we don't have this particular field, this particular angle. So what we'll do is first we arrange it the way we want it, and then we're going to save this as a custom view. So now with this, as soon as we hit custom view, it's going to go back to here. So it's like a home position for us to quickly center everything. So we have the model alignment. So what we'll do is we'll select an option. What kind of model do we want? And you have all different types of models. We have plateless model, quick, and if we select this, then we're going to have these little arms sticking off the model, and that just helps us in case we didn't want to articulate these models to return them to their original place, and it will give us a vertical occlusion and vertical dimension. But since we're going to be using articulators, we're going to use just a regular plateless model here. And this model will just look like a normal model, but as if you can see the inside there, it is mostly hollow. So this way we don't waste too much material printing the models. It will just print us a strong enough wall around the model so that it won't distort while we're working on it. These are the presets for the printers, the different printers. We'll just choose Prof 4K just for argument's sake right now. We can go back to the custom view. As you can see, the custom view is a little different here, so we just have to kind of go around and see which is our custom view, and if we don't like that, we can change it a little bit and maybe add another custom view here, so that will be custom view 2. On the bottom here we can change the model heights, so depending on how wide we want it, we can actually go here and move the model also, so that if we don't want to cut too much of the bottom and the top and just cut enough, we can adjust the model height here. Drain hole intervals, they're preset for 16 millimeters. Drain holes are basically the holes that the material flows out from inside the model so that it does not semi-harden or something like that, and it's able to drain back into the reservoir. So once we did that and we're happy with the drain hole intervals, etc., then we're going to go hit next, and it will move us on to the next step. So the next step is the scan data editor, in case we want to change something on the models, you know, where maybe close holes, things like that. Let's see if we can close some holes here. Can hit this and see if it closes anything. It says here a little area where we have our little information. It says all small holes in the mesh were closed. So we have that. And we can go back here to custom view, and now we have our model already ready for the next step. So here we can select surfaces and things like that in case your scan didn't come out right, you know, and it's basically to repair your models. Here you can go undo or redo. Can go back and forth, which is a great little option for us, and we hit next. Fix by cutting intersections. So we have this, the scan data will be modified to resolve the situation. Do not modify if you don't want it to do it. Remain in the scan data editor to manually trim intersections. So the intersections are basically areas where the two models intersect. Like here you have little areas during the contacts. This is where it's touching, so it might be going in a little bit too much into the opposing model. So if we hit to cut the intersections, then it will automatically make this like a perfect model. We could do that, and this way when we actually print the models, it will probably fit a little bit better. However, if we want the models to be pristine and the way it was in the mouth, because we're going to articulate it ourselves anyway, then we may not want to do that. So let's just leave that alone. So now it's going on to the next step. So the next step is the margin line detection. So what we want to do is we're going to do the margins. So it's good to magnify it a bit and maybe tilt it so that we can actually detect the margin. So all you have to do is aim the crosshairs to the margin and click once. And the program will actually try to detect the margins for you. And if you feel like you want to adjust one of the margins, you can always do that. If you want to adjust the margins, what you may want to do is just magnify it and tilt it the way you can see it the best. And then you can actually aim the crosshairs to it, hold the left button and drag it a little bit, and it will move the margin to wherever you need to move it. But for the most part, it usually does a pretty good job in identifying the margins. So now, as you can see, we hit custom view and it will go back into its default position. And then if you want to magnify it a little more to see where it is, double check, you can do that. Once you're satisfied with it, you're gonna go next. And it changes the color, meaning that you had already marked those margins. So the next margin we're gonna try to do is the second premolar. I'm gonna tilt it a little bit so I can see the margins right, and then magnify it. And then I'm going to hit exactly where the margin is, just once with the left button, and it marked our margin. Now sometimes it looks like we are not exactly at the margin, but in reality we are. You don't want to go down. Like if you see that little arrow on the right side, it tells you exactly where on the margin your margin line is. So if you bring it down to here, then you might end up with a very thin, brittle little area on the zirconia or wax, so that it will be very difficult to keep it intact. So generally these programs are programmed so that it gives you the exact margin that is the least likely to break during either milling or printing. So once we did that, we go next again. So we move on to the following tooth, and this will be the canine. Magnify it, make sure you aim this right at the middle of the margin there, click on it, and then it will identify where exactly you want the margin on. So let's click on custom view, and maybe here we can modify it a little bit. Right here it might be a little bit too far in, so I may want to bring this out. Now we can actually clear it and redo it. So let's aim it a little bit further out, click on it, and now it kind of modified it a little bit more, so we just bring this part out a little. Alright, so I'm satisfied with that. Check the rest. And then we'll click next, next tooth. So we'll go here. No, you don't want to click on there. Let's clear it. We're going to just go right about here. Okay. that looks good. Go next. Okay, so custom view, you see how easily it is to just return to its original part, and then we double check and then we'll click next. So here these will select the teeth that should be detachable in the model. So these are going to be our dies. This is a Pontic, so we don't want that removable, only the teeth themselves. So as you can see here, this color indicates that these dies will be removable. So once we're satisfied with that, we hit next again. And in this area we have the direction where which direction the dies will be removable. So normally anterior teeth, the roots themselves of the teeth are tilted lingually, so that obviously they do not come out through the buccal surface here. So to tilt the roots lingually, we must tilt the arrows buccally. So we're going to bring them out. The way we're going to do it quickly is we can set these from view. Since these are more, we can kind of tilt this towards the lingual, and then we hit set from view, and now we have the directions tilted lingually. But we don't want to do that with the posteriors, because now the posteriors are going to have like a weird direction when we remove the dies. So what we want to do is we want to move them back to their original long axis of the teeth that they are representing. So let's go back here. Let's try these. So we can actually move these towards the center. So kind of look at it from the top and then move your arrows so that they're pointing directly back at you. And that will give you the angle of insertion of these dies. So we want these to be inserted from the buccal, and we want these to be inserted from the occlusal. So we have that now. And now we're going to go next. And since I'm doing recording on this computer, it sometimes takes a little while since the processor is doing double work. The faster your computer is, the more memory you have, the faster your program will run. So this is our antagonist. This is how the direction where the antagonist will close towards the master model. So we have our presets here. Pedestal height is 0 millimeters. So we can actually change the pedestal height if we want to. Let's make the upper also visible somewhat. So in this area here, you can make, or then make the uppers disappear if you want. Alright, so Pedestal height, let's see if we can change it, maybe 4 millimeters. This is the main direction of that particular model, and that's fine. This is the ditch around the die, so here we can make more or less space between the die and the model, between the model and the margin. This way we can either make it more or less space there, so that when we're finishing the crowns, the tissues around it will not get in the way. That is in case we're not making any soft tissue models. In this case we're not. And here we'll go next. So we have our model attachments. It's making it now. So here we can take a look at the dies, the way the dies go in and out. If you notice here, we left it tilted a little bit too much. Here the long axis is going this way. So as you can see here, the dies are kind of going that way. In the front, I think we got it right, because we wanted these dies to go in towards the lingual, and that's what it did. So this one is okay. These are a little bit tilted. If you can see here, the dies here are a little bit poking through the model, which we do not want. So in this case we can go back and we can actually readjust. So let's go back and go back one more, and you see how these are going kind of distally. So let's adjust these to go a little bit more straight up and down, and make sure that it's done well this way also. So we can actually go straight up and down, make sure we check it this way, we check it that way, we check it this way. We may want to bring it a little bit towards the front, just to angle those dies back a little. Now here, we're going to maybe bring them a little bit more this way. Just double check, make sure the angles are right. These are just different things that we can actually hide or show. This one I may want to bring a little bit more this way. And same thing with this. Bring this a little bit more that way. And I think the K9 is okay. So let's do it again. Recalculate. It always gives you choices. So let's recalculate everything. And let's see how it changed it. Okay, so this is basically the way the opposing model goes up and down against the master model on top. So here we ditch it around. It says 0.5 millimeter, so we might be able to just leave it. We can also grind a little bit more if we want to later. So then we're gonna go next. And we forgot to set the pedestal height, so I'm gonna go back and do that. But let's not, we should wait, we should always wait to finish its calculations before we hit going back, because I don't know what that's gonna do. Sometimes it may corrupt the file or whatever, so just let it first finish what it's doing, and then we can go back and reset the pedestal height here. Okay, so right now it's just gonna cut it right there, and we can go and set the pedestal height to about 4 millimeters when it's done. So let's just go once back. So set the pedestal height to 4 millimeters. Let's go 4.1. Okay. Recalculate. Okay, so here you have all different types of attachments to the different types of articulators, so where your drain holes will be, the support structure. If you feel that your model might not be strong enough, you may want to put some honeycomb. And there's an analog cutout to check seating. You have support pins. These are redesigned. So we're just going to stick with the cutout for removal from the build plate. So we're gonna just take that, leave it as default. We can take a look at this here. And these are our dies. It's a little bit better. Okay. So let's go on. Okay, we're not going to change that. Just going to do next. And then we're done. So if we're done, we don't want to do any more. We can go directly into designing. If we press this, we can go expert mode. That will give us a lot more bells and whistles to play with. But right now we're just going to Go next, and this will save our model. And it will close our model creator. Now from here we can just go save the current project, or you can go directly into design, whichever you like. We're going to finish this section right here since we're finished making the models. So everything's saved now, and we can just close out our program.